Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Tatha tatha avuso bhikkhu viharang kappeti yatha yatha sa viharang kappayato. Bhaddakang maranang hoti Bhaddika kalakiriyati. Dear friends in Dhamma, actually last month there was a request to discuss about the death. So the discussion went on during the one of the days that people ask about the Chuttisitta and how the death going to happen, how the last death moment going to happen, how you are going to face it. Like that many questions were asked, and on that occasion I mentioned that there was a sutta talking about certain favorable way of living which would make you to die peacefully. So what are those facts? That is interestingly mentioned in one sutta. It is called Bhaddaka Sutta. It is in Anguttara Nikaya Chakka Nipata, where 6 matters are discussed, and basically these facts are not something that you can even think. You might be thinking very interesting, maybe very sophisticated, scientific kind of things, but what is mentioned here are very practical things. And the discussion is actually happening between the monks and Venerable Sariputta. So Venerable Sariputta on one occasion, so he wants to explain Dhamma, and he takes this theme, and he is mentioning if one is living in a particular way, that can lead to an unfavorable death. On the other hand, the opposite way, if someone is living completely the opposite way, there are 6 ways mentioned, then one can have a favorable death. Actually, the term used is not really the favorable, but a noble death. Bhaddaka means it's a noble death. So, how one can have an unfavorable, kind of a miserable type of death, where you are being born into hell or somewhere that something unfavorable, and on the other hand, how one can have a noble death. So this is what we need to know, and this is what explained in this particular sutta. The thing is that we need to understand, so here we have come as a favorable death. Now we are all born as a result of, we had a favorable death during our last time. So don't think that this is a bad time that we are spending here. Even though economic crisis is there, even though fuel prices are high, even though electricity prices are going to be high again, don't worry, don't think that we are in a really bad situation. So we are actually spending a very good time. We don't know really how unfortunate the living beings are living if we consider the whole situation. We only consider ourselves from a very narrow point of view, and as a result of that we think, okay, we are in a bad situation. But if you consider the whole majority of the human population, we are in a very good situation. And on the other hand, if you consider the whole kind of beings, living beings, you know that the amount of human beings are extremely less amount. If you simply dig a little hole here, you can find more than human beings available in the whole planet. It's uncountable. So the animal world is extremely various, and a variety of animals are there. Sometimes we can't even see them. You have heard about them. So microbiology and all that they are talking about, but they are still living beings. Maybe bacteria, maybe this and that. So all are living beings. They have some form of life, but extremely very, we can say, undeveloped. But still you can understand they still are living beings. And there are situations like Buddha himself mentioned on one occasion, say, he has noticed several ants are, crawling on the road. And he was accompanied by several monks. And there Buddha mentioned, you see that these are ants. There are none of them who haven't been a wheel-turning monarch. But now what has happened to them? They are merely ants. So this is a kind of a cycle that we are going on. So we are mostly have been in this unfortunate hell realms, and this is a very fortunate opportunity that we are all experiencing, being in the human realm. So that means during our last time, during our last birth, we had a very fortunate death. And are we going to have a fortunate death this time? So that was the question. So how are we going to have a fortunate death? So the information given in this sutta are fairly spiritual. It doesn't mean that only these things are the valid reasons, but this will lead you to a more higher levels. And if we consider in general, so there are people or there are living beings who are born with a lot of merit, who are born to this world with a lot of merit. They have done a lot of very good past, wholesome karma. So as a result of that, they are born to this world with a lot of merit. Maybe they are with a lot of luxurious wealth. Their parents may be very well-to-do, maybe with good, the complexion, quite beautiful, and without any sort of deficiency. The whole body health is really good. So all those what we expect to have a person with such kind of a gifted life may be available. But unfortunately, while having born here, so they may involve with various, say, unwholesome activities, and easily then they can get into another side where ultimately at the end of this life they may be reborn into a hell realm. That's a quite unfortunate situation. So that means they are born here with light, but ultimately going to the dark. On the other hand, there are human beings. They are born to this world with less merit. Maybe born with to a very poor family and not having enough food, not getting good education, and not having a good wealth to survive, and somehow, by the way, managing a very, kind of a miserable type of lifestyle. But still, they are maintaining a very good conduct, not getting into unwholesome activities, and as much as possible, they are trying to lead a wholesome way, moral way, and they are trying to lead such kind of an innocent kind of life without harming anyone, but maintaining good conduct. Now there Buddha mentioned, so they are coming with less merit. That means they are coming from the darkness, but now leading towards the light. So such situations are also there. On the other hand, there are ones who are born to this world with less merit. They don't have enough food, don't have good complexion, maybe with a lot of issues, health issues, even during their childhood. Parents are also can't do much and getting many troubles, disturbed by others, and many family issues, and parents are also not supporting each other. Many issues are there. On the other hand, they themselves, I am talking that particular person now born to this world with this kind of an environment, they themselves are going to the same bad routine. They also get on to certain unwholesome activities. They also start doing various naughty things. So where are they going to go? So they are coming from the dark and going towards further darkness. That is also there. So what is remaining? So there are people who are born really rich, really well-to-do. Maybe parents are also pretty good and have a very good knowledge, and complexion is also good, having very good health, and not being lazy or not being heedless, they now go through further with the heedful path, following the Dhamma, and more do a lot of wholesome deeds, and going further and further in their spiritual growth. Now what is that category? So they are born with light and going further towards the light. So likewise, this is called Tamo Parayana Sutta. So very interesting one, how Buddha has seen this type of beings, particularly the human beings, how they are dwelling in this life. Some are born with some kind of merit and ultimately going to the hell side, but some are born with, say, less merit, but still going to the light side. Again, some are born with light and going further to the light. So likewise, these are interesting categorizations. We can recognize, where are we? When we were born, are we were sort of well-to-do, or we sort of with lot of effort and lot of say endurance, that you go through a lot of hardships. As a result of your endurance, your hard work, you are able to achieve something. That is also very good, and that is also really mastering of life. So you may have a lot of past experience, how much suffering that you have gone through, and what are the hardships that you have to bear with. Ultimately, you become very, very successful. That's in a way you can recognize, okay, I was very much not really well-to-do. I am born to maybe a poor family, but now today I am well-to-do, or I am really doing well. I can survive myself. At the same time, I am spiritually fairly grown compared to my previous years. So likewise, you can compare yourself where you are right now. Now that is something to think about. Now, Venerable Sariputta, when he is talking about having a good death or not having a good death, so he is taking out 6 factors for us to consider. The first factor, to have a bad death. We will talk about the bad side first. Kamma ramo hoti kamma rato, kamma ramatang anuyutto. So you are always engaged with a lot of work, and it is as a kind of an indulgence coming from you. Not that you are loaded with a lot of responsibilities and you are it's very much like must to do, but rather you can't keep yourself in a kind of a rest, always searching for work. Hope you can understand what we are talking here. See, there are such characters, so they don't know how to take a break. So while continuing on one work, they are thinking about another work. After completing this, what am I going to do? Okay, maybe I'll construct that thing. So this is something, something funny, but mostly available with monks as well. Assume that they want to build a wall around the temple. Fine. Now they started that. So now it is going on. And many collection and all that and were going on. Now it's going on. The construction of wall. While that is going on, now it is getting closer to the end. Maybe better to have a kind of a pandal kind of thing, Makaratorana. Because just the wall is not good, no? So it's better to have that kind of a situation. Okay, let's start that. Now they are, going through that and build that. And probably with that, maybe a dolosmahe pahana. What's that? I don't know the term, English term for that. Kind of a continuous lamp. Better have that one also. So now going with that. Now I have a Bodhi tree, but there are no 28 Buddhas around it. Better construct 28 Buddhas, because many devotees are coming to worship. I better have a very nice that kind of a thing. Let's finish this job and we'll start that one. So now it's going on. And after that they found that the old Sangha Vasa is not good enough. Better to have now things are getting really modified. I have to adjust with this modern world. Better to have a 3-story Sanghavasa. Let's start that. So we are going through that Sanghavasa. But while going through that, he may end the job. End the life. Because always involved, always imagining, always planning work. Many projects in your head. So never being able to keep yourself relaxed, keep yourself unoccupied. So you want to be occupied. So why do we want to be occupied? Now think about yourself. Now say, for example, say you are a person in a department or an institute. Assume that there are many different kinds of works are there, and certain works we categorize, okay, that generates a lot of self-esteem, and people consider that work as a very interesting work and very difficult work, and so that is the ones mostly rewarded. And there are other works, those are somewhat little work, not really rewarded, and people don't really appreciate or praise when you are doing that. So which type of work are you going to select? The mostly rewarded and well self-esteemed. So those are the ones typically we select. Because I want to perform, I want to show my performance. How are you going to get an increment otherwise? I have to show my colors. So you are taking the most difficult task maybe, not because that you are sometimes even beyond your capacity, but still you want to try that and give it a try and let me perform that well. So you are struggling and trying to do that, and maybe successful. And now you are being rewarded. Now what are you going to do? Are you now taking a relax or coming back to the normal routine? No, you are trying to do another one. So you are now finding another job, which is also quite pretty challenging. And now people are starting appreciating you, giving you a promotion, giving you an increment. So you become a person who is essential to the crowd. And you also now wear, good clothes, and you become someone, maybe an executive. So likewise, you become more and more very much like a talented, or we can say rather than talented, we can say a essential person in the crowd. Now many are coming and asking things from you, and you are the ones advising them. Maybe you are the one training the new employees or advising them, and you are now have many other people working under you, and your word is the final word. So now you become an administrator, and so you now become a further important person to the company or to the institute. So what is happening in you in general? So after going back home, so are you just the typical normal person, or is there any behavioral changes happened because of this kind of a situation at office? Now say for example, you were a good father. Assume that you had a couple of children. And when you are going back home, they used to play with you. They are, very innocent children, and they come to hug you and be with you. Your wife is also there, going through a very good family life, a very joyful and innocent kind of family life. So after becoming a strong administrator and executive and lot of things to do, how long are you going to spend with your family members? The same amount of time or less amount of time? So how are you going to fondle with your children? Same amount of time or less amount of time? Do you have time really to spend with them? So if your child come and ask, "Daddy, please come with me, I want to play with you some badminton." Do you have some time? Is it a valid request for me, like an administrator, to play badminton? Is it a valid request? I'm a VIP now. You should find that, that we got Nimal, that servant boy, you better go and play with him. Daddy has a lot of work, important work to do. Now daddy has become a big guy, can't play with his own children. So children are always very innocent. So they always live on the ground. They don't know that daddy is an administrator. Daddy is simply a daddy for them. But now daddy can't become the father. So daddy wants to become the administrator even at home. Quite unfortunate. So we actually playing a role at our office, but we don't know how to keep it or limit it onto the office, but we take it even to our home. Now we want our wife or husband to sort of always be obedient to our orders. Children also have to be obedient to our orders. The situation is very bad when the wife comes to that situation. When wife is in the administrative role and the husband is a typical person, then the situation is very bad. Because then things get into conflicts, arguments. Husband also don't want to be obedient to wife's orders. So we are living in a different cultural society. So likewise, many issues are there. So why are we always selecting work in that sense? Why are we always want to go for challenging work, administrative work? So why can't you simply be with maybe some work which is enough for you to survive, to be with your family, to take care of your family? Or you always want to become a very special person? So there is a certain amount of ego is involved in this work. So if you are given in that department, say now you are an administrator, well-to-do person, and you are a special person. Now suppose there is someone above you. Now he simply demote you, give you a demotion, and give a typical job. So what happened to you now? Kind of a collapse. Your ego is threatened. You basically collapse. And now worrying and what happened to me, and you hate the job and you hate the people, you may be hating that person who has demoted you. And basically because you are in a very high rank or very high level, and now you are to be with the others, the common people, so you don't know how to be a commoner. Previously you were in that, but now you don't know how to be a commoner. You don't know how to live on the ground. So basically you were building up a lot of conceit as a result of all this work. And on the other hand, there's a situation in the mind. So mind always want to get involved. So without that you can't feel like you are living. In order to feel that you are living, you need something. You need something very, very important. So that's why, so if we are doing a typical common work, so you can't sort of highlight yourself. You can't show off yourself. You can't show colors among others. But on the other hand, if you are doing something very special which others can't do, others are, rewarding and appreciating, consider you as a very special, gifted, talented person, then you better do that. So that is what we are very much motivated. So likewise, so we always want to get involved. So getting involved with a lot of work. One work after another work. One work after another work. So continuously going on and on, never finding breaks, never finding rest, never finding a vacation. Basically there is no rest to the mind at all. So mind is always into planning. Always into planning. Maybe the current work going on and you have a lot of responsibilities, you are filled with that. And next work is also now going on in your mind. What am I going to do after that? So that is also now you are planning. So you never have any kind of a mental peace. So think about this kind of situation. So how are we managing then? The opposite is mentioned for the good side. Na kammaramo hoti na kammarato na kammaramatan aniyutto. Suppose you are given a task. You are doing it well. Don't think that you are neglecting it. You are doing it well. If there is no any particular important or something given by your superiors, how about taking a break? How about just doing the commoner's work? How about being with your children? How about being in your family? Maybe going for a picnic. Just living, enjoying living in the way. Do you really want to have a kind of a feeling that I am so and so, I am fear and so? Or you just can be on the ground? And are you planning next job even without it is being assigned? Now say for example, you are working in a department and there are many other tasks available, and you also are given a task which you think not enough for you and not enough opportunities to show your colors, show your talent. So are you, while involved with this task, are you imagining another task? Or while completing this task, are you trying to get another task? So these things are also there, because these things are not uncommon. So while people are in the kind of an office environment, maybe working environment, so people have certain competition, and even kind of a professional enmity is there among the professionals. So professionals are there that they want to highlight themselves. They don't want others to come to that caliber, show that caliber. So they are in a kind of a competitive environment. In order to maintain their rank, in order to maintain their level, so they always have to perform. So this is how the private sector in a way working, and the performance based, work based. Now if we come to a monastic situation, now say you are doing some work, fine, you have to build a wall, fine. After building the wall, instead of starting another thing, can you take a break? Can you go for a retreat? Can you look something spiritual? You know, the construction work is something very, very common in the temples. You know that, right? So it's never ending. Always plans are there for the next building, always there for the next renovation, or maybe complete abolishing and coming up with a new one. Many plans are there. Now we are building Aswattha branch because we are not allowed to build new kutis at Nissarana. Because it is a forest reservation, so they are not allowing, the forest department is not allowing us to build new kutis. So we are now found close by, someone offered 5-acre land at Aswattha. So we are building new kutis there. Now the construction work of Dhanasala is going on. And next the meditation hall, next few more kutis. After that we are going to stop, by the way. So if we are getting more and more involved, so no time for our own practice. Particularly here, the important thing. So the more you get involved while you are practicing, all that plans come to your mind and disturb. So if you sit with lot of plans, say you are responsible for something, or you have something to do in the next week. So all those plans are coming again and again to your mind, and very difficult to have a peaceful mind, because not yet you are able to have very good mindfulness, and you don't yet achieve fair amount of control of your thoughts. So still you are a beginner and many thoughts are there. On top of that, you have many plans as well, and you are involved with certain work as well. So as you are sitting, so all that work related stuff coming again and again and disturbing your mind, filling your mind. Think about that. So there's a general advice, so we do, is that if you have very important job, please finish it and then don't start new one, come to the retreat. So if you are coming for a retreat, so better assign your job to someone and very much like clear your head and come, or else you have to finish it and come, so that you are coming with a fairly empty head. And there's the next one. So then next point that Venerable Sariputta highlighted is related to the chattering. Na bassaramo hoti bassarato na bassaramatang anuyutto. So there are people who are fond of talking, chattering, and they continuously chatter, continuously keep on chattering. They don't need any particular subject, so they create subjects. Now if you go to a funeral home, so they gather together and play cards and all this and that. They don't know how next morning also has happened. Talking is going on. Continuous chattering, continuous talking is going on. And their mind internally chatter too much, and that comes as words, and they can't stop their chattering. They don't know how to live silently. And the important thing here is not really the verbal chattering. How about the inner chatter? That's another area that we need to think about. And even though your mouth is closed, mouth is shut, internally there may be a chattering going on. That is something you need to check. How often am I keeping my mind silent? Am I able to do it at all? Have I heard about it? Or I know only a domain, or I know only a kind of a way of life where ongoing chattering is a must. Never has a rest. Ongoing chattering is a must. So this is something that we need to understand. So Venerable Sariputta tells the opposite. For a good death, na bassaramo hoti, na bassarato, na bassaramatang anuyutto. Where you are looking forward for a silent mind, kind of a silence. When Buddha and his disciples are arriving to someone else's monastery, very beautiful stories are there in the suttas. Now there are other sects, that there are paribrajakas, there are other ascetics, naked ascetics, and different kinds of spiritual groups were there during the Buddha's time. And sometimes when Buddha found there is enough time for me to go on to the Pindapata, and instead of going around the homes, so he selected to go and have a discussion with these people. And sometimes Venerable Sariputta has done that. Venerable Ananda has done that. So they are approaching these different sects. So they are also religious seekers. And when Buddha approaching them, that's a very common statement that they do. If they have a group, now they are telling that group, be silent. Be silent now when the Gautam is coming. So he is a person who has appreciated the silence. If he found that we are a silent group, he may visit us. He may visit us. If he found that we are chatting and talking this and that and all nonsense are going on, he simply skip. He don't visit us. So the general understanding is that during the Buddha's time, so Buddha was someone who appreciates silence, not the sounds. Now, if you consider today, now there can't be any paritta chanting, there can't be any bana sermon without loudspeakers. So continuously, from the morning, continuous loudspeakers. But Buddha, on the other hand, he appreciated silence. It is not that spiritual seekers are going after these sounds and, too much loud noise. They are the people who initiated or inspired by the silence. So Buddha in general is someone really appreciated the silence, and not only this, the verbal silence, even the inner silence. That means even having a mind free of inner chatter. So this inner chatter, so this is something very interesting. So if you consider your own mind, it's very much like few people are living. Someone is asking to do this, someone is asking to do that, someone is again telling, no, you can't do that, you can't do that. How about doing this? So another thought is coming. Always different kinds of arguments are going on inside the mind. Probably you have noted that. So have you ever experienced a silence mind, completely silent mind, no inner chatter? Can you imagine that? So that is what actually we are aiming, even not in a very high level Vipassana, but even in a typical walking session. So as someone mentioned, while walking, there may be a lot of thoughts going on. Inner chatter is continuous, but don't worry. But slowly, we are paying enough attention to our path, enough attention to the steps, enough attention to hardness, softness and all that, what we call the element characteristics. So as you are moving forward, as you are further and further paying fair amount of attention to these bodily sensations, what happened to the inner chatter? Haven't you noticed that? So the inner chatter become weaker and weaker, and it appears still may be available, but very much like a background weaker process. But fair amount of attention is now with you, within you, fairly controlled, and you can feel that maybe you are paying more attention onto the hardness, more attention to the softness. So likewise, they are very ordinary experiences, by the way. The inner chatter is talking about various plans. What are you going to do? What is your next job? What is your next project? What has happened last week? How this had happened? So many things are there in the inner chatter. Those are interesting also. But now, instead of you are going through that, you are purposely paying attention to most ordinary, very much like very neutral elements characteristics. Very difficult in a way. So you have to have a fight with the typical instincts, different desires available in the mind, and you have to do a little bit of control to purposely pay attention to these selected objects, selected sensations. So that's why the effort comes to the picture. So not only mindfulness, so in order to develop mindfulness onto this very ordinary kind of experience, which are not interesting, which are not exciting, you need fair amount of effort. So as a result of fair amount of effort, if you are slowly being successful, now you found, okay, I can maintain my attention onto these very ordinary experiences. They are the bodily sensations. I am just keeping my attention onto them. As a result of that, mind also has become very calm, very relaxed, very peaceful. And inner chatter also has fairly weakened. And you may be able to come to a situation, one day, it may completely stopped. No inner chatter at all. You might feel like this rain completely stopped. Now the rain is there, so we get certain amount of disturbance. Imagine a time this rain completely stopped. Have you ever noticed no rain time? Oh, are we experiencing every time raining? Now this Kalalgoda building is making a lot of noise. But you know that there is a time, there is a possibility, no rain at all, so we experience complete silence. Same thing internally. Inner chatter is very much like rain. So inner silence is very much like there is no rain, no sounds, you are in complete silence. Very peaceful. So therefore, Venerable Sariputta highlights, so if you want to have a peaceful death, what you need to do? Na bassaramo hoti, na bassarato, na bassaramatang anyutto. Don't initiate another talk. Maintain silence. appreciate silence, internally as well as externally. Assume that someone is silently meditating. So don't go and start a chit chat. No need. If you can simply appreciate that silence, just enjoy that silence. You are not allowed to disturb. So that person may be enjoying in a silence. If you are unnecessarily going and chatting and start a new topic, so you yourself start in a chatter maybe, and that person is also got disturbed. So therefore, this silence is something highly appreciated, highly praised by the Buddha, and that's why he mentioned to the monks, if there are no any special things that you need to talk, I mean, if you want, when you gather, actually, Buddha mentioned, when you gather, do two things. If there is important thing to talk on Dhamma, you have a Dhamma discussion. Else, what are you going to do? Ariyo va tunhi bhav. Maintain noble silence, that's all. So therefore, Buddha has given 32 subjects not to talk. So if you know all that 32, so what we are talking today are all in that 32. So it includes all the politics, it includes all the wars, it includes all the information about the food, about the drinks, about the kings, about the ministers, sports minister, all the ministers. Everything is included. Particularly for the monks. So Buddha listed all these 32 subjects of not to talk. I can't say that it is not, you all can follow the same exact kind of restricted kind of a talk. Maybe you can get involved a little bit. Maybe little bit of ministers talk, little bit of presidents talk, little bit of kings talk, fine. But a little. Don't spend the whole day talking politics. Don't spend whole day talking someone else's, achievement, or they are doing something wrong. So many subjects are there for us to talk, no? But if you are spending the whole day talking on many different subjects, so then your mind is fairly occupied. And with that, assume now you come and sit to meditate. Can you meditate? Because your mind is well occupied, lot of chattering is there. Once you close your eyes, all that come and disturb you. You can understand. These are two parts actually we are talking. But on the other hand, if you are able to maintain fair amount of silence, you have limited your chatter, you have limited your talk only to the necessary amount. It doesn't mean that you never talk. You are talking, yes. But you know exactly what needs to be talked and to what length and what's the appropriate time to talk. And then you do that, done, well, become silent, stopped, to the point. And after that, again silent. And if there is nothing to talk, maintain silence. Don't go and start another topic. Now say you are in the family environment. Now, are there always need to talk in the family environment? Sometimes opposite is also there. If we don't talk, others may think, okay, what has happened to him? He's not talking like before. Maybe there is a problem. Did I make a mistake? Is he having any trouble at office? Is there anything wrong with me? Did I make a mistake? Has he had another affair? So many things are there. Many imaginations are there, because when someone silence, so you start inner chatter. So that is also possible. Because you don't know how to be silent. So when when your partner or someone is silent, so you start more inner chatter. Lot of doubts are there. Why he is maintaining silence? He should talk with me. So that is also there. Very interesting. So if we start kind of limiting ourselves. Okay, there is a time to talk, fine. There's a fixed schedule. But again, there is a time to maintain some silence. Assume that you have a time in your kind of a worship time, chanting time. And after that, say in your schedule at your home, if you have a time to sit, to meditate, so maintain that as a silent time. So that everybody get involved, maintain silence, noble silence, or even your children known to that. So they also don't want to disturb because mother and father meditating. That now they also invited. They are also just simply sitting. So like that, if we include this kind of a routine to our life, so slowly, we start that, okay, there is a work time, again there is a silent time as well. And there is a time there is no work. I just take a rest. And again there is a time there is no talk. We all are maintaining silence. So likewise, this inner silence is the difficult part. Actually, achieving the typical verbal silence is maybe someone even can tell children, don't talk, shut up. So children can be silent, but still both children and the teacher are internally talking. So if we are able to completely silent, even internally, there is no verbal inner chatter, then that is the noble kind of silence. So noble silence is not that simple, maintaining the outside silence, but a fair amount of deeper silence. And then another topic, Venerable Sariputta pointing out, if someone is having a bad death, another reason is Niddaramo hoti niddarato niddaramatang aniyutto. So he is a person fond of too much sleeping. In the morning after breakfast, need to have a nap, it's very difficult otherwise. So having a little nap after breakfast. Now you need to work, okay, little work, and then now the lunch time, you had a very heavy lunch, now I have to have a nap because it's very heavy. Can't immediately work because of the heavy lunch. So you have the afternoon nap as well. And now getting the evening, you have some news and cartoon to watch, teledrama, and you watch that. It's already night time, so I have to take the dinner and sleep. Isn't it? Are you following that schedule? Afternoon nap, morning nap, and during night anyway sleep, no? So nap can easily become the sleep. Short nap can long nap, ultimately sound sleep. So monks also can have that, after the Pindapata, a little nap. It can go till 3 p.m., maybe 4 p.m. That's a bad habit, by the way. So that's why, how long Buddha has slept? Just 2 hours. So that is Buddha's schedule. Just 2 hours sleep. How many hours are we sleeping? So we can't achieve that 2 hours sleep. I mean, we are not that level. But typically, having a good sleep is a must. It doesn't mean that we need to criticize sleep. Having a good sleep is a must. But if we are overindulging in sleep, that is a disaster. Because you sometimes get late to your work and you get punished there, you get the red line there, and you won't miss whatever the important things. And while sleeping, that many thieves and all come to your house, so you are not awake, and you begin further and further heedless. So the sleepiness is a shortcut to heedlessness, and your mind is not active. So mind is always in a kind of a grumpy and sort of a sloppy kind of a way, not active. You don't know how to be awake, how to be active, how to be vigilant, how to be diligent. So the pamada is complete opposite to appamada. So Buddha encouraged heedfulness instead of heedlessness. So therefore, Venerable Sariputta say, if you want to have a good death, na niddaramo hoti, na niddarato, na niddaramatang anyutto. So you don't need to have a kind of imagination. When am I going to sleep? Or you are not overindulging in the sleeping, but you know there is a sleep time is there. Okay, at night, maybe starting at 10 till 4 p.m., 4 a.m. That is my sleeping time. So you are doing that, and you get up and quickly come back to the routine. You have a lot to do. Maybe you have a lot of responsibilities, and some people actually complain they don't have time to meditate. They have a lot to do. How many hours are they sleeping? So that is something that we need to think. So on the other hand, as we have a good meditation, that is kind of a good rest to the mind. So you may not need long hours sleep. Say 10 hours sleep, not at all necessary. Maybe 6 hours, 7 hours, a reasonable time for you to have a sleep. Other than that, if you are having a sleep during the daytime, a really bad habit. So daytime sleep. So people are used to that. Some people are used to have a daytime nap, daytime sleep, and end up with a lot of issues, health issues also. You may have diabetics, you may have cholesterol, this and that, and your body become really, fat. Many issues are there. So, but if you have a selected time, only this particular time I am going to sleep, okay, you maintain that schedule as much as possible and don't go for a sleep after a meal. Try to do some walk. So that is where for the walking time. So if at your home, if there is a passage, if there is a corridor, use that as a walking path. After the meal, if you are simply going to take a nap, so that is a disaster. So have a kind of a nice walk. So that is why Buddha particularly mentioned in the Chankamananisansa Sutta, as a benefit of walking meditation, Buddha say, asite pite kaite saite samma parinamang gacchati. Because after the meal, if you do a walking meditation, so your digestion become more proper. A very good digestion, a proper digestion, healthy digestion going to happen if you are having a walk after the meals. Maybe at night or during the lunch, after the lunch or after the breakfast. Make use as a habit. After a lunch, say make it as a habit to have a walk. Maybe after the breakfast, make it use as a habit for a walk. At night, if you are taking the dinner, as a habit after the dinner, have a walk. So, therefore, Venerable Sariputta highlights, so if you want to have a good death, the opposite is the truth. Na niddaramo hoti, na niddara rato, na niddaramatang anyutto. He is not getting too much involved in sleeping, rather he has a lot of time. He has a lot of time for whatever the work as well as for his own silent time for meditation also. And then there's another fourth thing. So if you want to have a bad death, so Venerable Sariputta mentioned, Sanganika hoti sanganika rato sanganika ramatang anyutto. So one is having too many friends, too many involvements, too many socializing. People are getting socialized. They are going to the pub, they are going to do that, they want to do that. So many things are there. So they want to have a crowd every time. So there are people like that. They can't live alone. They don't want to be at house. So they want to be socialized. And don't think that this is only when people are around you. How are you going to socialize these days? Using the social media. So don't think that you always want to have a lot of people around you for you to get socialized. Now people, thanks to the modern technology, while being at your room, you can still be socialized. So we are going opposite in a way. We think that we are going in the correct, more advanced, spiritually advanced. Never. Social media. Hope you all of are having email address. Hope all of you are having Facebook account, WhatsApp account. What else? Twitter. I can't remember. These are the only things I heard. Telegram. No, not that. What? No. Many things are there. Many things are there. So do you have time to work on all these? And once you put a post onto Facebook, what are you expecting? So many likes. So this way that how you are being boosted. Say, assume that you are putting a post to your Facebook. And if there are many hints to that, many likes to that, are you happy or unhappy? You are very happy. Why? You are being boosted. You know, you are a good person and you have done a very good, valid thing, and your post is really appreciated. Many crowd is there. You have a lot of fans. Everybody has put the bell icon. You know that all the YouTube, they are asking, okay, if you want to have this kind of YouTube, please put on the bell icon so that next video will be automatically delivered to your I don't know what it is. It will be indicated. So they know how to get involved, us. Is it for our own goodness? Oh, so we as general also want to see how many emails are there, how many WhatsApp messages are there, how many, say, likes are there to my post, into my Facebook. So many things are there. So basically we are too involved. How often are you checking the phone? How often are you visiting the WhatsApp? How often are you checking your emails? How often are you checking the Facebook? Think about it. Do you think that your parents, your grandparents, have they heard about WhatsApp? Have they heard about emails? Have they heard about Instagram? Have they heard about Twitter? Have they heard about Facebook? But they lead a very peaceful, beautiful life. But today, we don't have even a time. On the same bed, husband is chatting using one phone, wife is chatting using another phone. What has happened to the society? So we are, even on the bed, we have become socialized. We don't know even partner. We don't have time to be with your children. And we don't know how to do the face-to-face interaction, dealing with our children or dealing with our friends. No very good eye contact, but we know how to chat. We don't know how to post. And we are, in a way, going away from our human instincts. So socializing is therefore there may be benefits, but asking some more involvement. So we are wasting time fairly. Fair waste of time is there. And many people, sometimes they honestly say, Bhante, I couldn't meditate these days. I was in YouTube. Unfortunately, I was in YouTube for several hours. Bhante, I was in YouTube. What can I do to avoid that, Bhante? Because there are a lot of techniques to, grab your attention, and you are not allowed to close it. You are not allowed to close the browser, but next YouTube is more interesting than this YouTube. Maybe next post is more interesting than this post. So these people know how to get involved, all of us. And thanks to the technology, now we have global friends, kind of a global count or global connectivity, and we have tremendous amount of connection, tremendous amount of socializing. Now, Venerable Sariputta said the opposite. If you want to have a good death. Na sanganika ramo hoti, na sanganika rato, na sanganika ramatang anyutto. That means you have time for yourself. So you are maintaining very, kind of a private time for you. And you are not being kind of slave to all these equipments, all these smartphones and this and that and all that, all this social media. So you are not being distracted. So what are these social media really doing to our mind? So these all getting distract us from ourselves. Say, we are talking in mindfulness about the body awareness, self-awareness, being with yourself. You are fully aware of what's really going on. You know who you are. You know your mind status. So being with you, fair amount of awareness in you, but in the social media, completely get distracted and you are being completely outward. Instead of inward, you become more and more outward. You don't know what's really going on in you, and sometimes you don't know what's really going on in your family. How your children are doing, what is your wife or husband is doing. Those are not much known to you because you are always with the phone, always chatting, going on with the messaging. And recently, I have seen that a little video. I think they are complaining. I mean, typically people like to have, kind of appreciation, have a kind of eye contact, shake hand, maybe have a hug, whatever it is. But now these things are, being fairly separated. People are in an imagined world, virtual world. So we are going closer to the virtual world. And now I heard that, what's that company, Facebook company, Mate, right? Mate. Meta. Okay. So now they are going to have 3D, what's that? There's something going to happen. They advertise that. I can't remember what it is. You can learn that. Now you are only chatting on the phone, but now they are going to this virtual something that they can wear. So then you can see the virtual pictures in a 3D world. You can wear that, and while wear you are touching this, touching that, touching this. People might think that you have gone crazy in the virtual world. So you are wearing a particular glasses. A special glass now they have introduced. It is not a very large one, very much like a sunglass. You can simply wear it. So you can't connect with the world, but you are in your private virtual world. According to that, you are laughing, you are touching, you are pressing, all that is going on. All like Angoda. Very interesting. So we are moving towards that. We are moving very rapidly towards that. Don't think that this is going to happen after 50 years. Very soon. They already put that, Meta. Meta has already given that away, this particular gadget. The virtual reality, I don't know the exact name. So you simply have to buy that, wear that, and now in the social media, instead of you type in this, so maybe, I don't know, you can have some more stuff in the future. Very interesting. So the opposite is therefore asking by the Venerable Sariputta. He says, so don't go for too much socializing. It doesn't mean that you become antisocial. So don't think the opposite. Rather, whom to associate, having less friends, having less involvement, and be with sort of sincere to your friends or your relationships, and have some time for yourself. And have some time for silence, not too much involvement. So if you have to check emails, if you have to check WhatsApp, if you have to check Instagram, if you have to check Twitter, if you have to check emails, anything, assume that 5 things are there. So how many time are you spending on this? And how many time you have to spend with your children or your family or whatever the thing. So there are certain companies, they completely prohibited all this. There are certain software companies, during the office hours, they prohibited chatting. Because, because they will simply lose their work. Because employees are chatting. Maybe Facebook or this and that. So they are not allowed during the office hours. Because they understood their danger. People, rather than performing, they are doing something nonsense. So therefore, here, in the deeper sense, so if we have too many relationships, if we have too much involvement, if you become too much socialized, so then you lose yourself, you become completely distracted, completely outward. You basically lose yourself. You don't know what is your health, you don't know what is the mental situation, you have no time to sports or any kind of that kind of a thing. So it's kind of a disaster. Okay, we'll stop there because 2 more things. We'll take that tomorrow. Hope tomorrow there won't be inner chatter. Rain, there won't be inner chatter. So that we can have silence on tomorrow. Okay, with that we will conclude today's Dhamma sermon. And you can imagine, so when inner chatter is available, how disturbing it is. And imagine a situation when there is no rain at all, you can have silence. This is same as inner silence. There is no disturbance. Still you are living a very peaceful, heedful awareness is there. Okay, with that we'll conclude the Dhamma sermon. Thank you very much for attentive listening.